So welcome back to Chop's Garage. If you haven't been here before, this is the real life car trading channel. We've got a car here that everyone has been very interested to learn about an update on it. So in case you are totally new to the channel, this is the 21 plate. So that is 2021 for those of you that aren't in the UK. Nissan Leaf that I bought at car dealer auction. I think that's one point a lot of people misunderstood. They thought I just bought a car from an auction as a normal punter. I am a car dealer. I bought this car from British car auctions. And on the last video, the car arrived and I told you how there was an issue with it. That it's got 75,000 miles on it. It's the Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt, I believe. Should have about 120, 130 mile range on it. But we found that as soon as I took it out and I went down a hill and up the other side, even with a full charge, the range just dive bombed down to a point where it was showing like 8 or 9%. And then I go down the next hill and it get almost up to 100% again. Gave you obviously massive anxiety range, and something was clearly not right. Now, another thing I didn't explain clearly in the last video is a lot of people said, why would you ever buy a used electric car without getting a report on the battery? Now, I actually did have a report from BCA on the battery in this car. Let me show you that in a minute. So here we are on the BCA site. Here's my car that I bought, the Nissan. We say it's a grade 3. We say we've got a BCA assured EV hybrid report, and we've got battery health B. If we click on there, so it says here that after testing the battery, it got a B 80 to 89. And this actually scored an 85. If we scroll down further, it's got a detailed report. So here is my battery certificate. It said 85.5% health. It said it should have a range of about 143 miles. I haven't got that. I think I've got about, I don't know. We'll have a look when it's fully charged. We'll have a look. It does say further down here that typical 114 miles, which is roughly more, I think, like what I'm getting out of the car. You see it's done all this very comprehensive testing, and it's come back to say good health, no abnormalities detected based on a detailed battery diagnosis performed by the Avelu flash test. Avelu, we hereby certify this battery is in good condition. But that's not what we found when we've taken it to Nissan, and that's certainly not what we've experienced when we've been driving the car. So you can see that the BCA report there said that there was nothing wrong with the battery in the car, which is one of the reasons that I bought it. It was only £4,000, so 75,000 miles on a 2021, £4,000 bargain, absolute bargain for a car of this age, but obviously not if it's not working properly. So you've got a company who's saying, buy this car, here's a report that says the battery is good on the car, and here's our assured policy that if anything we've said is incorrect, you can claim from us. You put a claim in and they say, no, sorry, outside of the remit. I would love someone to be able to explain to me how that is the case. That makes absolutely no sense at all. Spoke to a few people that said you're on a hiding to nowhere with British car auctions if you try and make claims against that. I still think from a legal standpoint, I've got every claim in the world. You can't provide me with a report that says no abnormalities with the battery, and then clearly as soon as you drive the car, it's clear there is an abnormality with the battery. So what do I do next? Well, I thought I'm going to prove this. I will send it down to Nissan and we'll see what Nissan have got to say. Because a lot of you also said Nissan will cover the car under the manufacturer's warranty because it's within 8 years old. Nissan will cover any issues with the car. So I thought, great, drop it down to Nissan. Turns out Nissan don't know what they're doing either. So I left the car with Nissan. They came out, said there is a fault with the battery. There's a fault with the battery pack. I think one of the modules within the battery pack, or is that a group of cells? I'm not sure. They said that there is an issue with it and it'll be covered under warranty, and we're going to book it in with our repair centre. They couldn't do it at my local place. They had to send it away. Great, I thought. That's hiding to nowhere. I don't have to keep chasing BCA down because Nissan can do the repair free of charge anyway. No, shortly afterwards, a couple of days later, I get a phone call to say that the repair centre had confirmed with the local branch that this wouldn't be covered under warranty. And I'll just show you the terms of that as to why that is the case. So why aren't Nissan warrantying the vehicle? Well, here we are on the Nissan page. If we go down to the terms and conditions, it says the Nissan EV lithium-ion battery state of health guarantee protects against battery capacity loss less than 9 bars out of 12 as shown on the vehicle capacity gauge for a period of 8 years or 100,000 miles. Pre-2022, it's 5 years or 60,000 miles. So we've got a couple of issues. One, straight away, when you charge the car up, it will show 12 bars, but it's just how quickly it drops off up when you start using it. Secondly, my car's got 75,000 miles on it. So had it been post-22 with 75,000 miles, and we might have had a chance because it covers it to 100,000 miles, but because mine is pre-22 with 75,000 miles, the mileage means that it is out of warranty anyway, even if I could argue the toss over this 9 bars versus 12 on the dash. So that is the basis on which Nissan declined the claim after accepting the claim, even though they knew what the mileage was, which is just seems like staff training is a bit poor there. So that's why, as many people thought I was going to be covered by Nissan anyway, I got no help from Nissan. So we've got a car that came with a report that said the battery is fine, but the vendor, BCA, won't do anything about the repair. We've got a car that should be under a manufacturer's warranty as far as we're aware, but they won't do anything with the repair. So where did that leave me? By the way, I'm doing this video pointing at the car from here because there's quite a lot of wind outside and I don't have a mic, so I will just get a lot of complaints about wind noise if I don't stand here. So what do I do now? Well, I thought the only thing is bite the bullet and get the thing fixed. It's not worth anything while it's not fixed, and I'll try and sort out who's going to pay what later on, maybe try and chase some other people down like BCA later on. And a lot of you recommended Cleveland EV to take it to. Now, I'd seen them on several YouTube channels before as well. So I got it transported up there. Very good service up there. Within a very short period of time, they diagnosed that, again, that there was an issue with a module in the battery pack. And they said they were going to replace that module alone. They were a bit busy at the time. They said they could diagnose it, but it would be a little while before they could actually fit it. So it was up there for a couple of weeks before they fitted it. And they said they could just do that module alone. So they had it for a few weeks. Apparently what they did is drop the battery pack out, found a bad module or bad cells, whatever you want to say that it was. We'll have a look at the invoice and just clarify what that was in a minute. Swapped that out for a new one. They had to balance all the other ones out to the same before they put it in, then put it all back in again, and good to go. So I asked this question on social media: what do you think it's cost me to fix the battery on the Leaf? And it's so often the way when you talk about electric cars is the figures were huge. People had massive figures. Everybody believes that if you have an issue with the battery on an EV, they don't understand that, one, the entire battery often doesn't have to be replaced. And two, that there's lots of people out there, independents now, not necessarily main dealers, that can do fixes on these things. So a lot of people were saying 10 grand, 12 grand, 5 grand, 6 grand, loads of figures like that floating around. Perhaps if you didn't see that social media post, you'd like to go down in the comments down below and comment and tell me how much you think it costs. Now, a bit unfair with you guys because you know what was wrong with the car, and some of you that got some knowledge of this will have a rough idea of what that cost. But I think a lot of you are going to be very surprised how relatively inexpensive it actually was to fix the motor. Not the motor, the battery. So here's the bill from Cleveland, and we've got that they did find that after battery testing there was a fault within module 11. There was a variance in it, so it shows that there was a fault with the battery pack, unlike the report we got from BCA. The labour rate is £60 an hour. The module itself was £450, so it looks like it's 10 hours labour to get the battery pack out, replace it and get it back in again. That might be diagnosis as well. The module say £450. So if you had something about you, fitting a module, I don't know how hard that is to do, but you could just be in for the cost of a module, £450. From sealers and sundries, the bill was £1,140 plus the VAT, but obviously being a trader, being VAT registered, I'll get the VAT back. So £1,140. Now, obviously it's £1,140 I didn't want to spend, but it isn't 6, 8, 10 grand on a battery pack like everyone would like to tell you that it's going to be to fix an EV. And it's a bill that's not that really uncommon with the level of prep I have with a lot of the vehicles I sell. A service alone can be £500 these days. If I have to put a DPF filter into a car, or have an EGR valve, bills can often get into hundreds and hundreds of pounds, at least half of what this is, if not more. A DPF alone can be like £700 sometimes. So in terms of its cost versus an ICE car, an internal combustion engine car, I don't think it's bad at all. Like I say, it's not an unusual build to get to prep a car. A nice thing about being an EV is as long as the battery's good, to be honest, there's not an awful lot else to go wrong. I've had a look over the car. It looks like I need to put a pair of tyres on the front. Discs and pads are good, paintwork's good, interior's good. So this might be, bar a set of tyres, all of the prep cost I'm going to incur on the vehicle. So having paid that bill and having the car transported here, we have literally just got it back. I've just fully charged the car. A lot of you are absolutely right. Last time I was trying to charge the car with 2 granny cables connected together, or 1 power cable and a granny cable connected together. As soon as I put just the granny cable into an extension lead, it worked fine. So we are fully charged on the car. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it to the test, take it out for a little run and see what range we get. So before, you only had to travel about sort of 10 miles or so and you just absolutely rinsed the battery charge right the way down, or at least it showed on the dash it was going right the way down. So to put it to the test, we're going to find how many miles range it's got now. We're going to take it for a run and see how much range it actually uses. Well, you have to excuse how dirty it is inside this car because obviously not bothered valeting yet until it's been fixed. So now it's time to get that done. Right, see what range we've got for starters. So we're 100% charged, showing a range of 134 miles at 74,653 miles. So we can go for a spin. Now, so before, as a reminder, even with a full charge, when I went up a steep hill, the charge would just go down so quickly, even from a full charge. The range would start to show that it was going to completely disappear. So we're looking for that not to happen. It'll be interesting to see how many miles we use up and how many miles we travel to see how well things are working. So, and I'll just see how it drives in general, because obviously we didn't have too much of a chance to do it. We've got absolutely everything on this one. Oh, reversing cameras, heated seats, heated steering wheel, cruise control. It's got all the toys. I'm going to put the Meta glasses on because it'll make for a better video, and then I won't have to hold it then either. Obviously, super easy car to drive. Got your little gear knob there, just put it into D and away you go. I like the single pedal braking, basically, where I just let off the accelerator pedal and it brakes for me. Obviously a normal car would roll to a stop, but this actually brakes for me, and at the same time put some power back in. Obviously, being an EV, the main advantage of an EV is smooth and quiet. We've got a little bit of tyre roll because the front tyres are shot. We're going to get some front tyres on it in a bit. Obviously super smooth, loads of power whenever we want it, just a little press of the pedal and away she squirts. And you've got your little gauge there to tell you whether you are in eco or obviously over there to power, and then on the other side of the eco, if you're recharging as you come off, I do the automatic braking, see it's putting a little bit back in again. Like I said, other than the battery fix prep wise, I just think it needs those front tyres, and I think it's going to be good to go. We obviously haven't put it for an MOT yet, which we will, but it doesn't feel like it's going to need an awful lot. So as I said, I'm going to bomb around a bit, put some miles under its belt. I'll come back and let you know how it's getting on with range versus the actual miles that we've travelled, and we'll see how the Cleveland fix has got on. There you go, totally braked for me then, just took my foot off. So there we have it. After a little run around, we've done some little errands, taken a little drive. We've done about 14-15 miles, and we used pretty much bang on 14-15 miles of range. So everything seems to be happy, all seems to be good with the world in terms of how it's using it. Before, like I said, what would happen is I'd go up a hill and that range would absolutely plummet, even from a full charge. I think I've noticed it becomes a little bit obsessive watching this range side of things. When you drive a car normally, you would just look at this, I guess. That would be effectively your fuel tank. You wouldn't have, I don't drive with a range up on my dash. And obviously some of the bigger cars I drive, if I was booting it along and going up the hills and dropping it a cog, I'd probably see the range go quite quickly, go down and then go back up again as I started to drive more sensibly again. So it's probably a bit unfair to electric cars to have that right in the middle of your face. You probably should just be watching that and seeing how your percentage of battery is. But it does become a little obsessive looking at the range all the time. That's what I found. Less so when I've driven electric cars that have got like a 250 mile range. I had an Enyaq And I guess because you've got the amount of miles to play with, and I'm only doing short runs home and back and stuff, it becomes, you know, it's not such an issue. But on these cars with the short ranges, yeah, it does become a little bit obsessive watching that all the time, which is probably unfair on the car. I said normally that's all you'd be looking at. But anyway, battery seems to be working as it should. Obviously, we'll do some longer runs as well, and we'll get it right down to sort of like 30 miles, that kind of thing, and see how it's going on then. I don't think I'd want to go much less than about 30 miles, 20 miles before I started charging again, and I will only be doing it on a 3-pin plug. So there we have it. Despite what the EV haters would like you to believe, you can fix an electric car, fix a battery on an electric car, and it won't break the bank. It isn't going to be £10,000 every time you do it. As there are with all other brands, there are specialists that are now popping up that know how to repair these cars, and it isn't always necessary to replace entire battery packs. In fact, from talking to them more often than not, it is just one module, one batch of cells that can be replaced. And the cost for doing that is very comparable to, you know, a wet belt replacement, cam belt replacement on EcoBoost, 1,200 quid. Timing chain replacements can run at £1,000. Like I say, services can run at £500 now, so it really isn't a cost that is that great. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm happy about having to pay it out, and I still think that I've got some recourse with BCA, but whether I'll bother or not, I don't know. What we're going to do is get it cleaned up, put it up for sale. It'll be going up for $6,995, and if it doesn't sell, we'll just use it as our runabout, picking things up, dropping stuff off. First thing to do, nip down and get these tyres done. And like I say, we'll get it valeted, get it photographed, get a fresh MOT on it, and like I say, get it up for sale on the site. As always, massive thanks for watching. Hopefully that was some valuable consumer information for any of you looking to buy used EVs. I'm sure a lot of people will be having lots to say down in the comments. As I said, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, before I go, don't forget, if you want one car that you don't have to worry about all that battery malarkey with, it is our current raffle car, this Morris Minor Traveller. Fantastic little 1000cc Morris Traveller. Now, this car is being raffled off for, unfortunately, it's now the widow of the previous owner. Andy let us have the car, said, can we raffle it off for him? He was ill with cancer. Unfortunately, he's passed away before the raffle has been able to be drawn. Hopefully, I'll do a picture of his wake up here. We all took our motorbikes, revved them outside the pub in his honour, and did a lot of rum. It was a good day. It was a good send-off for him. But now, yeah, all the proceeds from this raffle will go to Andy's widow to help him out. And it's a fantastic little car. There's a previous video. If you look it up, we've been for a drive in it. He upgraded a lot of things, electronic ignition, upgraded seats. What else did he do to it? Treated all the underside of the car fantastically, sorted that out, welded up some bits, treated it all lovely. It's in really good usable nick, great little runabout, I say, and it's going to a great cause if you can get involved. I'll put a link to the raffle down below, and whoever wins this will be really happy. It'll be a fantastic little car you can take to the odd show here and potter around on sunny days. When you're on the site, don't forget to look out for the ticket bundles, where if you buy a certain amount, you get a load of extra free of charge. So again, I'll put a link to that in the video description down below, or just Google Chops Garage Raffle. Just stick Chops Garage Raffle into Google and it'll pop straight up. Again, many thanks for watching. See you on the next one.